Welcome to the Heat versus the World podcast. And now, stand up and make some noise for your host, Joel Jacob.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast. Like always, I'm your host, Joel Jacob, and you can follow me on Twitter at JoelKJacob_. Now let's meet our guests for today. First, we got Brian.
That is me. I'm Brian. What's up, guys?
And then right after that, we got George.
Yo, what's up, guys?
And then right after that, Clippy.
Hey guys, it's Clippy.
And then last but not least, the newest member of the Heat vs. the World podcast, Kaylee.
Hi, guys.
All right, so let's get right to it with today's episode. So last game, Miami walked into Dallas and beat them by the score of 125-110, improving their record to 6-1. Leading the way, you have Tyler Hero with 25 points and 4 assists. You then have Jimmy Butler with 23 points while being 15 of 17 from the free throw line, while having 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Following that, you have Bam Adebayo with 22 points and 13 rebounds and 2 blocks. Kyle Lowry with 22 points, along with 6 threes, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. And last but not least, the dead man himself, Dwayne Dedmon, with 10 points and 5 rebounds. An interesting fact about these stats is that this is the first time that he have had 4 players score 22 or more points in the same game. What even made yesterday's game even better was the fact that you had the home crowd at Dallas chanting, "Let's go Heat," near the end of the game, which was such a beautiful sight to see, especially considering the fact that there's the whole rivalry between the Heat and Mavericks. But honestly, I think that's dead at this point, considering the fact that Miami has beaten them 17 times out of their last 21 matchups. But, you know, that's just me. But anyway, so with that being said, I know you guys have a lot to say about the game, so I'll let y'all take the floor. We'll start off with you, George.
All right. Well, where am I going to start? There was the most amazing scene to finally watch Kyle Lowry cook, and to cook out. It was the best experience ever. Everyone's been talking about, it's great playmaking. We've loved it. But every now and then you want to see him add some spice to the game. Hitting threes in Luka's face, who was their only competent player last night besides Brunson, was incredible. But overall, the team played fantastic. A game which last year in a fixture we struggled very, very highly in. It was also because of the rules was very tailored to, to foul drawing, things like that. The game last night wasn't perfect, in my opinion, refereeing wise, but it didn't stop us. We came back. When we were starting to fall out a little bit, Tyler Hero started cooking, and how important he's been for us is insane. I don't think I've ever watched a player like Tyler, with such low expectation at the start of the season. Maybe that was due to a lot of Twitter disparity that we've been seeing from him. But to see him play well, to see Jimmy play well as a leader, Bam was cooking a little bit. Everyone was just doing their thing, playing their role. Duncan Robinson played some great defense, let alone, he's still trying to find his foot on the offensive end. But I think that this was a really good indicator of what the Heat can be. If someone's not producing the way we want them to, someone else can. Someone else will step up. And for a team that apparently didn't have a very good bench, we still lead the NBA in bench points. So it's been fantastic. And yeah, I can't say anything more about that game.
How about you, Clippy?
I have to agree with everything that George said. 100%. We look great defensively, offensively. Obviously, we had a slow start in that first quarter. It didn't really look so well in the first quarter, but obviously we picked it up a notch. As soon as Tyler Hero comes into the game, it's a complete shift. You can see it, you can feel it. As soon as he gets on the court, everything changes, even the defense, the energy, everything. So, I mean, I think we look amazing. Everyone contributed. The four guys that should be contributed a huge part, and they played a big part in the win. On Duncan Robinson, I had to say, yes, he's having a slow start. I obviously still believe in him to get going, shoot or shoot or whatever. But the 6 fouls and the fouling out was obviously kind of looked a little problematic. But I mean, that's fine. I saw a tweet last night that said refs versus Duncan Robinson, which I have to agree with because the refs last night were one of the worst I've seen, in my opinion, in a long time. But regardless of that, we got the win and we did it by, a lot. So I'm really impressed with this team. I can't wait to keep watching and see if they keep this up with the 5-game winning streak. I mean, we could take this really far.
Right. And then what's on your mind, Kaylee?
I remember, so like last night, I remember tweeting about how the refs were also kind of weird, and I agree with like Clippy when it came to those things. They were just acting kind of strange. I was kind of like, they were calling some things but not others, and I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. But most of the game, it was kind of the most thing that I guess the highlight for me was the chanting. For sure, that was really cool to see because I feel like I rarely ever see that, I guess, at least for the time that I've been watching the NBA. And also some of those like Lowry jumpers were just very nice, it's just really cool to see that. And then also, of course, even though Tyler didn't make a lot of the plays that he did in the first quarter, it's okay, he made up for it throughout the rest of the game. And obviously I was a huge fan of how he was able to outscore his whole team off the bench. I feel like that was kind of not talked about enough. Almost, it's almost like, y'all, are y'all seeing this? So yeah, those are my thoughts.
And then what's on your mind, Brian?
I pretty much agree with everything that's been said. I think that I guess two things, right? The Heat continue their streak of being the number one team in the NBA in terms of point differential. So it kind of shows that they're not only winning games, but they're winning them dominantly. And, I think that to this point, the Heat have had the best defense in the NBA. Last night, they didn't necessarily shut down the Mavericks, but they won off of the strength of their offense, which is really, really good. Like, if they're getting into games and they're winning, if their defense isn't working, but they can win in a shootout, I think that bodes very, very well for the Heat because it means that they have multiple ways to win basketball games. So they're looking really, really good so far. I know it's only 7 games in, but to this point, they've looked nothing short of dominant.
Right. I agree 100%. And, one of my favorite moments from yesterday's game was the fact that you had Tyler Hero, who was able to get the stop on Luka, and then he goes off and shoots a 3, like right in his face. And what made it so amazing was that you then have the expert himself, Charles Barkley, who was on who was on the halftime show, I believe, and said that that Tyler Hero is just playing against scrubs and that's why he's dominating. Well, unless you count Luka as a scrub, I mean, I'll take that. I mean, if you want to insult him, go ahead. But, Tyler Hero bowled out yesterday, being the leading scorer for the Heat. And honestly, at this point, I guess we just got to be used to people sleeping on us. But with that being said, let's get right to it, to the next topic. So in other news, the NBA released their power rankings for week 2, and in first place was the Miami Heat. Considering that we have been so used to this Heat team being slept on, what was your reaction to hearing this? Start us off, Clippy.
I was excited. I was really excited. I mean, when's the last time we saw the Miami Heat on that list at all in the top 10? Because last year we were definitely not on it, but it's deserving. You know what I mean? We're number 1 for rebounds per game. On defensive charts, we're probably top 5 in almost all categories. I mean, our defense is what fuels our offense. So, and defense wins games always. So the fact that we are creating offensive defense is amazing, and we definitely deserve that number 1 spot, 100%.
Right. And then what about you, Kaylee?
It's actually super cool to see because it shows also on the court. So it's good that they're getting the recognition they deserve, So it's like finally, if you're watching, it's like, yeah, this is a literal number 1 ranking team right now. So it's like, it's yeah, overall, it's like really just refreshing to see that and to like see it also be implemented in games. And then it's not just talk, you know, it's like, it's the truth. You can't deny the truth, you know? So yeah.
Right. And then Brian, what's your opinion?
It's cool to see. I mean, it's cool from like just an ego perspective. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm a huge fan of NBA rankings in general because it's like, all right, well, who makes these rankings? Like, is it a bunch of people in a room somewhere that decide which team is better than which team? Like, I don't know. What we've seen is the team be dominant. That's all I care about. Like, the rankings, cool, whatever. But we're getting good Miami Heat basketball on the court, and that's what matters. But like I said, it's cool. It's chill.
Right. And then George, what's your take?
Look, I think it's a really, it's a very big achievement for the team this early in the season. I feel like we have been tested with the likes of the Bucks and the Nets. I think it'd be a way better achievement if we were to do it, if we were still number one in about 2 weeks. Because up next we've got the Celtics, Jazz, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Jazz again. If we can still be number one on the list, it's great. I think I doubt that the team's ever going to be looking at the standings in the locker room after a game, but I quite appreciate being the underdog. I feel like they do too. I feel like it's a very big mental edge that they have. So, not that I don't think that it should be number one. They definitely deserve it. But if we do it in a week's time, then that'd be fantastic.
Right. But, you know, it's like I said, whenever the Heat gets any sort of praise, you can't help but be happy about it. So it was definitely great to see Miami being placed number one in the power rankings for this week. Hopefully they can keep it on, and hopefully, you know, they will keep on showing this dominance in the playoffs and so on. So now let's go into this next topic. The reason why I want to bring this up is because it's very important revolves around the return of the former All-Star himself, Victor Oladipo. As we all know, Victor is still rehabbing from his season-ending injury from last year, but he will be expected to return sometime soon. Considering how great this Heat team has been so far, do you guys believe that Victor can add more fuel to the flame for the Heat? And if so, how much fuel are we talking about? What do you think, Kaylee?
First of all, every time I think of Victor, I just think of him like I remember there was a tweet or like a photo someone made, like a Photoshop of him like under the arena in like a little ice capsule thing. Like I think that's hilarious. That's basically how I see him. Like he's just kind of staying there, kind of tweeting every now and then. Great, love that. But like I would hope that he only kind of just gives it like a little extra umph, especially if unfortunately if maybe some people get injured, that hope he can like step up and like keep up the ante, you know, and keep up the heat. Ironically enough, keep up the heat, and you know, just kind of make sure that he's like a good person that like to fall back on. But also I feel like if he just contributing with everyone else healthy, he'll just make our dominance even stronger, and that's great. Yeah, that's all.
Right. And what about you, Clippy?
I think that once he gets to the team and, you know, finally gets into our system, playing with us and stuff, we're going to be unstoppable. He's insane defensively, so he's just going to add more defensive fuel to the fire. He's going to come off the bench and, you know, score. I think he averaged like 19 last season or something. So that's 19 points per game we haven't even gotten yet. And we just beat Dallas by like 15 last night. So he's definitely going to be a spark off the bench. It's going to be probably obviously not as, I don't think as good as Tyler Hero in the offensive category, but his defense will definitely make up for it. So I'm definitely excited for him to come. I think it's going to really push us over that hump, even though I don't think we have a hump, but if there is ever going to be a hump, I think that he'll be the one to push us over it.
And you, Brian?
I mean, he's going to definitely bring a different offensive look off the bench. He's probably going to be able to take a lot of pressure off of Tyler Hero. You know, right now Tyler is, and he's performing great in his role, but he has to be the best player off of the bench by far. And I think that he definitely needs his offense during those nights where maybe Jimmy or Kyle or Bam didn't have it. So, you know, having Victor Oladipo as essentially another option, having him as a guy that can take pressure off of everybody else defensively, as a scorer, as a passer, it's going to be really, really good for them. And I don't know, like, I'm obviously not expecting all-star Victor Oladipo, but if you can get 70 to 80% of what Victor Oladipo was, that is a massive boost coming off your bench. So I'm really excited to see what Victor Oladipo brings.
Right. And then how about you, George?
Look, I'm a glass half empty and full type of guy. I look at it both ways. There is a negative to having him come back healthy. Someone has to fly out of the rotation. They're one of the lower guys, but at the same time, minutes will get reduced. He still needs to prove that he can make a really, really good impact on this team. He's only actually played 5 games for us, so it's not going to be an easy implementation back into our rotation. But on the other hand, the fact that everyone is playing so well really puts the pressure minutes off him, which means that it can take as much time as it actually needs to get him back to a physical condition that he can handle for 25, 30 minutes a night. And he will be off our bench. That's no issue. But there's going to be rotations where there's going to be nights in the future when he's back where Spolster's going to want to play him 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And that's a fear because we just don't know how his body will hold up. But look, if everything goes well, he's going to add just one massive dynamic rotation with us. Him coming off our bench, like Brian said, even if he comes back at 70%, 80%, there's no reason why he can't make a massive impact and, take this team to the next stratosphere.
Right. I agree 100%. Victor's return is obviously something that Heat fans everywhere are looking forward to. And if he can be that guy that can be at 75 to 80%, like you said, Brian, I feel like this Heat team is just going to be even more scary. We've been seeing this team, blow out all of their opponents. And, they're not even at full strength without Victor. So, hopefully it works out when Victor comes back. I know, like you said, George, there would be a few things that the Heat would have to work out. But, I know Victor, obviously he had a chance to make it work yet last year in those 4 games. I know Miami won't rush him in any way. So it's all going to be about how it's all going to look when Victor comes back. And I know he will make a massive impact for this Heat team, especially if he can come back around 75 to 80%. So with that being said, let's go right into the next topic. So I want to talk about the significance of someone who has truly made his impact on this Heat team the minute he signed with us this past offseason. I want to talk about QB1 himself, Kyle Lowry. How amazed have you guys been with K-Low's performance in the Heat uniform this season? Lead us off, Brian.
You know what? I'm not going to say I've been amazed because Kyle Lowry has been really good for years. Like, I don't know. I've definitely been a bit skeptical as far as the age goes because he's 36. So, I don't know how long he's going to be doing this, but for the past few years, Kyle Lowry has been one of the best point guards in the NBA, and his impact as one of the best point guards is shown up very, very clearly for this team. You can see, I saw a stat, and I don't know if it's still true, but I think the Heat have the second fastest pace when he's on the court and the slowest pace when he's off the court. You can see him making, full court outlet passes to Jimmy Butler, getting him easy buckets. Like Jimmy, Bam, Tyler have all greatly benefited off of Kyle Lowry's being on the court with them. So, man, he's performing. Again, I don't want to disrespect him by saying he's playing amazing. He's playing like Kyle Lowry, and Kyle Lowry is an amazing player. So, I'm very, very happy that he's with the Heat.
Right. Like you said, it's Kyle freaking Lowry. Of course, we knew he was going to bowl out. I just simply never thought we'd be this good of a team. So I think that alone is just what amazes me. And seeing the Kyle Lowry effect, when you look at how Jimmy Butler has played, especially now that he no longer has to deal with being the facilitator and with Bam taking the next level in his game as well. And then obviously Tyler Hero bowling out too. As they call it, the Kyle Lowry effect, that's in full force right now. So obviously, I guess amaze wasn't a good word to use for it because, as I already said, it is Kyle Lowry we're talking about. But, it's just amazing how much of an impact he's made on this team. What about you, Clippy?
Yeah, I think without Kyle, we wouldn't be where we are. Obviously, one guy doesn't make the team, but he definitely pushes the pace. The tone is completely different when he's on the court. Even when he's not on the court, I've seen that the Heat are still trying to play that, fast ball, which we never ever have played before. So with him in the lineup, it definitely changes the pace. But I see now he's like finally looks comfortable and confident in finding his shot. And once he finds that shot, it's going to be lethal and it's going to be great. And we saw that last night. He threw in 22 points for us. And that's huge. You know what I mean? Tyler comes off the bench, scores 20, 25, whatever the case may be. If Kyle scores that, 22 plus every night, we're going to win every game. You know what I mean? He helps us so much. I'm so glad we have him. Picking him up in the offseason, I think, was the best move we could have made. And to be honest, in the offseason, I wasn't really sure how it was gonna work or how it was gonna look. That sounds better. How it was gonna look, but it looks great, and we look completely different from last season. The basketball is completely different. It's so fast. I'm not even used to seeing the Heat play so fast because of him. Those outlet passes that are the whole court that scare me every single time. But that right there is just it. You could just tell that we just needed that one piece, that one point guard, and it changed everything for us.
Right. And then how do you feel, Kaylee?
It's super sick to have him on the team. Obviously, like I feel like I'm in the same boat with most people that are kind of like, yeah, we expect Kyle Lowry to be Kyle Lowry at his age. It's like you're paying for an all-star, so it's like I would hope that he continues or tries his best to continue this legacy that he's creating. But also I feel like the one thing that I'm kind of relieved about is that obviously he seems like he genuinely wants to play for the Heat and wants to win for the Heat. I feel like that's kind of huge whenever you pick someone up on the offseason that was just on another team that also won a championship, that you would hope that he'd want to create an amazing chemistry with the team and like really want it, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's one thing to just kind of coast and like, yeah, whatever, like I'm good, but I'm not going to be like my best, but I feel like he's genuinely trying and he's genuinely vibing with everyone. And I feel like that's such a good thing, especially just because like if they're all together on it, then they're going to be even more motivated to do it. Just overall great addition. Happy he's here.
Right. And then what's your take, George?
I mean, I don't think I could have asked more from a player of Kyle Lowry's pedigree. He's been our rock. He's taken the pressure off Jimmy as a playmaker, off Bam as a ball handler, and that while that doesn't sound like the best thing, it's actually unlocked his game down the post a lot more. He's a lot more dominant this year than any other year. Tyler's going off because, let's be honest, what team has 4 defenders to guard Jimmy, Bam, Lowry, because he can cook as what we saw last night, and Hero. What he's done for this team has been nothing short of incredible and much needed. Another great find by Pat Riley, and with the connection with Jimmy Butler, it was always going to happen. After 9 seasons of playing in cold Toronto, I feel like he's just happy to be playing somewhere where it's not freezing cold. And I feel like he appreciates, the fans. He appreciates the change of scenery. It was always going to take a while for him to get his offensive footing back because he's used to playing in a system where he's the second option and takes a lot of pride in that. But I feel like him seeing Tyler Hero grow as a player, Bam, Jimmy, seeing him succeed as well with the MVP chance, I feel like he's just as happy to help. You can even see it from the bench. The bench is hyped. The locker room's even happier. He's just brought everything this team needed and more to make this team successful. So it's going to be a lot more games. We've got a lot more games to go. We've got 75 more games of Kyle Lowry, and we can keep him healthy. We can keep him fit. There's no ceiling for this team. There really isn't.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And, Kyle Lowry's not the only guy that I want to give praise to. This next topic has been a campaign that Heat fans have been running since last season, and that is none other than the Jim VP campaign. This week, the Jim VP propaganda was at its highest point it's been this season, with Jimmy being crowned as Player of the Week for the Eastern Conference while being placed first on the weekly MVP ladder by the Basketball Reference. Taking all of this to mind, do you guys believe Jimmy has a legit chance of taking home MVP? What's your take, Clippy?
I want to be a realist, and I want to say yes, I really do, but that would mean that I'm biased because he's on my team. I think 100% he can, but do I think so? No, I think it's very early in the season to think about MVP. The way he's playing is MVP caliber, but it's still very early in the season. In the middle of the season, we'll see where he still stands. But there's still other players that I think can come out of the woodworks and start fighting for that gunning for that number one spot. But he definitely is playing MVP caliber ball. But I just don't. I hope it lasts, but I just don't know if it's gonna last. So.
Right. And then what about you, Brian?
Like Clippy said, it's really early. I don't know. Like you started off really strong last year, and then as the season went on, he kind of tapered off a little bit. And I feel like, especially with Victor Oladipo coming back, Kyle Lowry starting to find his offense, like I'd imagine that Jimmy takes a bit of a step back statistically, especially if they're blowing teams out, right? Like if they're winning every game by 10, 15 points, like you're probably not going to play Jimmy Butler as many minutes, so he's probably not going to have the numbers. Also, other guys are playing really, really well. Like Steph Curry has a legitimate argument so far to be MVP as well, and they're also I think the Warriors are 5-1, the Jazz are 6-1. So there's going to be other teams with guys that put up massive numbers. So I don't know. It's more of a question for like 40 games in. If you're still doing the same thing, all right, yeah. Like I think he'll get votes either way, but I don't really know if he's going to actually win the award.
Right. And then what about you, George?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's a popularity contest of the other day. We've seen that with a lot of MVPs in the past. His numbers are there. He's averaging career highs in field goal, in rebounds, assists. So his efficiency's through the roof. He's definitely been the most amazing player over these first stretch of games. The best thing about the MVP award is it is still a very team-based award, regardless of the fact that it's an individual award. If the Heat can go, 60-something games, if hypothetically, everything goes well, everyone's playing well, and he's unlocked all these new players and everything like that. If he can keep averaging these numbers around the same, and even put it on a bit more scoring, then it's going to be just better for him. I think he deserves it. I think he's deserving of an MVP. Well, I'm not saying he deserves it at this point, but the team's clicking. He's playing well. There's nothing more we can ask for him. So it's one of those things that if he gets it, it's great. If he doesn't, this doesn't really matter to him. I could tell he doesn't really care. But it'd be a great honor to have another MVP up for Miami. So I feel like if the team's winning, he's playing well. That's all that matters.
Right. And then Kaylee, what's your opinion?
Yeah, like the whole I agree with what everyone said, that this whole like popularity contest, I just think of how in high school we had those like superlatives awards that it's just kind of like, yeah, sure, like doesn't like I feel like it's so early and there's still a lot of people that can come out of the woodwork, and a lot of teams I feel like are gunning for it more, and I feel like for Jimmy that's like the last thing on his mind, so it would be dope. It would be actually really cool if he actually does win it, but like we already know the NBA can be very stingy when it comes to giving people awards, So yeah, I think it'd be awesome. But overall, I feel like I'd rather just him focus on being the best he can be just for the team versus for an award, which I feel like he's already doing.
Right. And I agree with every one of you guys. obviously, knowing Jimmy, he's probably the type of person to not care if he wins this type of award. No, it's obviously just wanting to see him get some type of recognition because as we've, mentioned not only this episode but in episodes past, the NBA does have this thing against Miami when it comes to sleeping against us and everything. So obviously it would be nice to see Jimmy win it, but to see him bowl out and to hopefully win the championship this year is even better. So obviously, I just want to bring this up because I know our guy Brendan Tobin has already fired up the Jim VP campaign and everything. But you know what? I know in Jimmy's mind right now, he's focused on another campaign, and that's being Finals Jim VP. So with that being said, we'll just see what happens as the season continues. So now I want to go into another campaign, and that's the Bam Adebayo for Defensive Player of the Year campaign. According to some statistics that were reported before this last game against the Mavs, players have shot 16 of 65 from the field when guarded by Bam, generating a staggering 24.6% from the field. Not only that, but Bam also manages to hold his own when guarding the three-point line, as players have made 6 out of 29 threes while being guarded by Bam this season. Knowing all of this, do you guys believe in Bam's chances of winning Defensive Player of the Year? This time we'll start off with you, George.
Yes, 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 and yes. There's no way that they can overlook him anymore. Last year, he should have been Defensive Player of the Year. This year, he's been phenomenal. In every single way, phenomenal. Rudy Gobert's won it how many years, and he's played amazing interior defense. Bam brings it all. Guards 1 to 5, does it effectively. The numbers are there, the stats are there. This is the biggest popularity contest in the entire NBA. This really is. I feel it's so unfair to overlook him any further. He just does everything. I don't know what more he could possibly do on his end besides keep this up. That would just guarantee him this award because he deserves it. But look, we can all say he deserves it, blah blah blah. There's always other good players as well, but in my opinion, there's no one that comes close to what he does for the team.
Right, and what's your opinion, Kaylee?
I completely agree. I feel like for me, it's hard to name someone else that can guard as many people as Bam can. Like he literally makes them slow down. He makes them miss shots. It's kind of like, and he's consistent in it. It's not like he's like every now and then. It's like, no, he's consistent in it. Also, not to mention that he's a gold medalist. So like, I feel like maybe he should be up there, like if he should win it. But yeah, again, the NBA is really stingy on giving people what they deserve. So I'm sure he's still going to put up the numbers to prove it and show it all. But will they give it to him? We shall see. But I personally think he deserves it like 5 stars. It's on his name already. Like it's his,
Right. And then what's your take, Clippy?
Yeah, I know I said that it's early and Jimmy won't win MVP, but Bam is definitely going to win Defensive Player of the Year. I don't care how early it is. I think he should have won it last year. He's definitely insane on defense. He's, probably leads our team in all defensive statistics. I'm pretty sure all defensive categories. He definitely deserves it. I think he's going to get it. If the NBA doesn't give it to him, I would honestly be surprised because there's no other player that plays defense like him. There was so many possessions yesterday where he was on Luka that Luka didn't score, or they called like fouls that I don't, bad calls, but he still nonetheless, is going to lock down your favorite player, and he deserves it more than anyone, definitely.
Right. And what about you, Brian?
Bam Adebayo is the most important defender on the best defensive team in the NBA. He has respect from not only the players, but the media as far as being a 2-time All-NBA defensive player. He's holding guys, I think the stat was to 28% shooting. Like, listen, and he can guard 1 through 5. Like, it's not just that he's holding one or a couple positions to really poor shooting. Like, he is guarding every single position, and nobody can score on the guy. I think it's time. Like, if it's not this year, it's probably next year. But I don't know if he's going to win it. I think he's incredibly deserving. He's, in my mind, top 3 defender in the NBA, and that's just me like hedging a little bit. But I think it's really going to come down to whether or not he promote him as a defensive player of the year. Like, I really, really want to see their media team start that campaign, because that's what it's going to take. With all these awards, there's a pretty big percentage of it that is a popularity contest, and as deserving as Bam is, and I think that no one can make a good argument for him not being deserving. Like, Bam can win Defensive Player of the Year any given year he's in the NBA. He's got to have the support behind it, and it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna come down to whether or not the Heat prop him up as that type of guy and get the conversation really, really rolling. Also, probably him making an all-star team and again getting that extra recognition. But yeah, that's going to be huge. It's going to be the marketing. That's what it's going to come down to. So we'll see. We'll see if that marketing push comes.
And then does anyone want to add on to that, or are we ready to move on?
Hey, I'll say something else. I'm gonna elaborate on a point that Brian made just then. It's all about the media. It really has to be. The onus is on. It's on the players to talk about it. You know, on after the games, that they get the opportunity to all the time, and they're taking the opportunity. They talk about it. You know, his importance all the time, post game as well. But if we can really. I know it's only one facet, you know, that we really, really wanted to win Defensive Player of the Year, but I just want to see someone get what they deserve. If it's for nothing else, it's for that. So I'm saying that, you know, we see it on Twitter. We see it a lot. I've seen it more in the first six games that we've played than the first 7 games than any time in the season last time. You know, the Twitter's talking about it, how good of a defender he is. You know, the stat lines there. It's when you wake up in the morning, you can see it. So it's all going to be about, does, you know, Miami come out with a few clips defensively every couple of weeks? Does the conversation keep rolling until the 82 game season? But look, at the end of the day, we all just want to win one thing. That's a chip. And if the chip comes, then I don't give a damn who wins it. They can give it to Alex Caruso for all I care.
Right, I agree 100%. You know, at the end of the day, we all know how great of a defender Bam is. It would be nice to see the NBA finally recognize this elite skill he has. But, you know, as we said, for Jimmy goes for Bam too. You know, we know Bam is focused on winning a championship himself. So with that being said, you know, we'll just see how more he's going to amaze, you know, all these people, you know, who else he's going to clamp next, and we'll just work from there. So with that being said, you know, let's go right into this next topic. So to finish off this whole convo we've been having off of season awards, I now want to talk about the baby GOAT himself, Tyler Hero. We just can't do this episode without praising him, you know. Last game, Tyler made history when he scored the most points off the bench than any other player in NBA history to start the first 7 games of the season. Although Tyler himself wasn't impressed with this accomplishment when he heard that he had done just that, I know that we as Heat fans are beyond thrilled to hear this, especially after seeing a lot of the criticism that he received after last season. So with all of this being said, seeing the way how Tyler has played these first 7 games, is Tyler the front runner to win 6th Man of the Year? Start us off, Clippy.
I think yes. I also think it's very early, but I definitely think he has potential if he stays consistent. You know, last year his problem was staying consistent, but throughout the first 7 games, he's been pretty consistent. He's been getting to his spots, you know, getting every shot he wants. He's been, even if he misses, he's still shooting, which is great because, you know, shooters shoot, but he just doesn't only shoot. You know what I mean? His handles have gotten so much better. His defense is honestly the most improved off of anyone on the team. He's actually moving his feet. He's staying in front of his defender, which is great. I think he definitely deserves 6th Man of the Year if he stays playing the way he's playing. But from the looks of it, I mean, I think he's definitely a front runner. He has some competition. Jordan Clarkson. I think Alex Caruso is in that debate. But he definitely has potential to win that for sure.
And then how about you, Brian? And the reason why I want to ask you specifically is because I know you have been someone that thinks that Tyler has the potential to be a sixth man of the year. So what's your take?
Oh, I said that when he got drafted. People got mad at me. I was like, Tyler Hero isn't going to be James Harden. He's going to be a sixth man. You're like, no, he's not going to do that. So I want my props. Everybody that got mad at me, I want my damn props. But yeah, I actually believe in Tyler Hero getting sixth man more than I believe in any other Heat player getting any other award for two reasons. Because he has a particular look about him that people tend to gravitate towards. Not gonna get into detail, but people like Tyler Hero just off of that fact, and the Heat promote him like Tyler. Anytime Tyler Hero does something, the Heat marketing team is like full force behind Tyler Hero. So he has that, he has that marketing push, and he's just playing really well, right? Like he is legitimately a better player than he was his previous 2 years in the NBA. Like he's no doubt improved a lot over this offseason. But he's also has like the usage, and he's taking the shots of an actual star player. Like this is a very surface level analysis, but he has a higher usage than James Harden in his fourth year did, and he's taking more shots. So just off of the fact that he's a likable guy from the NBA fan base, he has a marketing push, and that he's improved as a player, and he has an incredibly high volume of shots. Yeah, like of course he's gonna be the front runner for that award. Like I would be shocked if he didn't win that award. If I was a betting guy, and this isn't betting advice to anybody out there, like I'm not saying to part with your money. This is just me personally. I would bet my whole life savings on Tyler Hero winning this award because it's a wrap. 7 games in, it's a wrap. That's my rant. I'm sorry, but there it is.
All right. And then what about you, George?
There's nothing more I'd like to see than Tyler Hero clap back at the haters. I've definitely had my ups and downs with him. I definitely wanted him included in a trade package last year for Bradley Beal. But for someone so young to get so much, abuse from not even just opposing fans, our own fans, to just absolutely come here and dominate this season. I mean, last night he had a plus 21 plus minus. What more do you want from that? He's in the last 3 games, he's averaging 24 points a game. The only thing I'm going to say about the six-man conversation is how long. Look, I'm an advocate for him still coming off the bench. I think he's an extremely important. That's the most important piece of the puzzle right there, because without him, our bench would suck. That's the truth. If we had to watch Robertson run with the second group chasing shots, then we'd be losing leads up and down the floor at the moment, which is not a knock against Robertson. It's just that it's just showing you how important Tyler's shot creation is and how big of a leap he's made this year. He's on track to becoming an all-star, and with these numbers. And people talk about Tyler Hero all-star. Oh, it's so scary. It's not that scary. The fact of the matter is, he's averaging 23 points a game. He's doing it all off the bench, but it's a situation where the Heat want to say, look, in clutch time he's playing. I still think he should come off the bench. For Duncan still needs to find his shot, and we're all talking about, he's having bad games here and there. There's going to be a game where he'll drop 30. It's going to happen. It'll happen soon. I'm going to guarantee that. But he's doing all this without. His shot looks so much more consistent, looks so smooth. There's nothing more I can want from Tyler Hero this season. This is more than anyone would have expected. If you would have told me that he'd be averaging 23 before the season, I would have called you crazy. People were saying that he's probably going to lead our team in scoring by the end of the year. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's just hype. He's on track for that. He's just got Jimmy to pass now. But I'm an advocate for sixth man of the year, Tyler Hero, and Pat Riley is probably breathing a sigh of relief, seeing that his gambles paid off. He's showed a lot of trust into this team. Even Spolster's put a lot of trust in his hands, and he's delivered, which is the most important thing. He's consistent. He's delivered. He's going to keep doing it, and we're just excited to sit back and watch.
Right. And then, to just quickly add on to what you said about Tyler Hero possibly being the leading scorer for the Heat. I know shout out to Ethan Skolnick for making that prediction. I know a lot of people, didn't agree with him at first, but I know Ethan's gotta be really hyped that, he made this prediction and it's so far looking really good. So yeah, shout outs to him. So with that being said, Kaylee, what's your opinion?
So like with this whole talk, I feel like it'd be a disservice to him and a disservice to the Heat to not keep him in the conversation of like potentially being the winner, because I feel like when it comes to also just improvement as a player, it's like you have to give that some consideration. It's like he's getting better each game so far in the season already, and he has this new air of confidence in him. He's bringing a new wave of like energy with the second team and stuff like that. So it's like you can't like overlook it. I feel like it'd be really rude to just overlook it. But yeah, like I feel like I highly appreciate it, because as someone who's also a fan of another certain team where a player doesn't even want to go to therapy, I feel like it's nice for someone to actually see that even though they have so much hate from different fan bases and like overall the organization kind of maybe taking the gamble on you with the deal and then that didn't go through, so like, okay, I have to step it up, and he's taking it into his own hands. So like, no, I need to get better. And with the whole thing with having a kid, it's like he's really just taking the reins, and I highly appreciate that. And so far it's showing, and I hope that he just kind of just even doubles his expectations.
Right. And then does anyone else have something they want to add on?
Yeah, I was gonna add on something, but Kaylee beat me to it. This is Dad Bod Tyler Hero. This is what I'm starting. This is what I'm talking about. When he had a kid, I was like, look at it now, another distraction from the game. He's just balling out for his daughter now, which is fantastic. So yeah, I just hope he can keep it up to the end of the season as well. Let's keep Dad Bod Tyler Hero in the conversation.
All right. So you know what? Like you guys said, I'd love to see Tyler Hero win Sixth Man of the Year, especially because of all the criticism he received. And it's just gonna be an exciting season to see what else he brings to the table for this Heat team. And we've talked about so much. I know we've talked a lot about season awards and everything. This is basically a Miami Heat propaganda episode to everyone who's listening. So there's that. But to conclude today's episode, I now want to talk about Miami's next game, which will be against a team that Tyler has probably had some of his best games against. And George, I know you mentioned that very soon we'll see a Tyler Hero 30-point game. And I wouldn't be surprised if it would be against this team. And that's because this upcoming game, the Heat will be playing against the Celtics. With that in mind, what do you guys think the Heat need to do to pull off the win? And what's your overall prediction for the game? Give us your take first, Clippy.
I don't really think we need to do much. I mean, I know that's kind of messed up to say, but the Celtics aren't really up to par this year. I mean, of course, any given team can win on any given night, but we're unveiling the new court, unveiling the new Miami mashup uniforms. Tyler, for some reason has a vengeance against the Celtics, so I think he'll definitely maybe drop 30, but I think tomorrow is hopefully, knock on wood, in the bag. We get a win at home, but I don't really see the Celtics as a threat, so I don't really feel like I need to elaborate. I just think the Heat just have to go in there and stop them defensively, and our offense starts with our defense, so we lock them down, and the rest is history. So I'm pretty confident that we can beat the Celtics tomorrow in nice fashion by 10 plus, 20 plus, hopefully.
Right. And then what about you, George?
It's time to go to work again. But the Celtics are not a team I take lightly. I never have, and I never will. Recently we've won our last two meetings with them. But I'm not ever going to say it's going to be an easy game. It's going to be, a game against Tatum. If he's on, it's hard to beat. Brown's there. He's still doing well. But them as a team, the turmoil that they've had in the last game, where Marcus Smart came out, made those comments. And we know for a fact that people are saying, oh, Marcus Smart shouldn't have talked, blah, blah, blah. There's no way he hasn't already spoken to the team about this multiple times and he's just sick of it. But I feel like they've got a lot of work to do over in Boston. I feel like they haven't got the formula right again. I feel like their front office has failed them again. So it's time for us to go in there and show them that we've improved leaps and bounds. We are here to play and we're here to win. And if we can walk out there with a 30-point winning, I'll be happy.
And you, Kaylee?
I actually agreed with Clippy. Like the first thing that I said in my mind was like, I don't think it's going to take much because it's just kind of, it's home. We're unveiling the new jerseys. There's going to be just an amazing vibe in the arena, So it's like and also the Celtics are just kind of down bad right now. And I just don't think the Celtics are in a place where they're like an opponent opponent. Like, and I hate saying that. I really do want to see the Celtics at least like not be on the bottom, but like I feel like right now they're kind of falling apart and we're just going to take advantage of that like dogs, you know what I mean? Like, they can also like, so I feel like it's just going to be kind of easy. I'm sure Tyler's also going to pop off because again, he does have like some sort of vengeance. But yeah, I'm actually just kind of excited to see them, just go on fire, so.
Right. And then last but not least, what about you, Brian?
The Celtics are 2-5. They're not a good team. Like, I don't think it's going to take a lot for the Heat to beat them. They just got to do what they've been doing. And they'll be fine. They'll probably blow them out by 15, 20 points. It's going to be an easy game. I'm not worried about it. Obviously, there's always potential of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum going off, but the Celtics aren't good right now. And also playing off of back-to-back. So I'm not worried about it. Easy Heat dub.
All right. So I love the guts everyone got for this. So with that being said, we basically covered a lot on today's episode. So I just got to know, is there anything else that you guys feel like we should add on, or are we ready to call this an episode?
I think we're good, to be honest.
All right. So with that being said, I feel that we covered so much Miami Heat propaganda in today's episode. Before we close it out, I just want to remind everyone that it's listening to follow Heat versus the World on Instagram and Twitter at HBTW Podcast for more Miami Heat content. Also, be sure to check out the Heat versus the World's new extension show, Culture Shock, which should be dropping its debut episode this Saturday. The show stars an all-women cast featuring Clippy and Kaylee, to name a few, while being produced by our own Jules as well. To learn more about Culture Shock, feel free to follow them on Twitter at CLTR Shock Pod. Anyways, thank you all for listening to today's episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast, and we'll be back soon with another episode. We out.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time with a brand new episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast.